All right, we'll get started now. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon and good evening, depending on where you live in the US. Thank you for joining our online open house. I am Ludo Farage. I am a founder and chief learning officer at Nucamp. And traditionally, we do this open house with my co-founder, Karim, who's not available today. He has been traveling. So today, I'll be the one giving you the tour of Nucamp and answer any question that you may have. I can see that we already have a few folks online. Hello, Yohel. Hello, Carrie. Good to see you as well. So I will be monitoring the chat, but probably we'll spend the last 30 minutes actually answering your questions. So don't hesitate to write them down in the chat window, and I'll be looking at the chat in about 30 minutes for an open Q&A. All right, so let's get started. The very first thing that we want to share with you is, of course, what is Nucamp, and you'll see also what makes us different. Nucamp is the most affordable, local, and flexible online and weekend coding bootcamp. And what we mean by that is, as you've probably realized, our price point is 15% of the one of our competition. Not only have we built a model that is affordable and local to where you live, we also embrace a social mission to help all aspiring career shifter or aspiring developer to enter the digital economy. And we do that really no matter where you live, and you get insights into that as well. We really want to offer quality web development education. And for that, I should share a little bit of my background. I've been at Microsoft for many years, and before creating Nucamp, really spent most of the time building education programs for developers. And so I brought this experience to Nucamp, and really with a vision to expand it to many communities and underserved towns throughout the nation. Now, let me actually go into our model a little bit deeper, because it's really going to help you realize what value we bring to you and how different we can be from the other options that you have available to you. On the right-hand side, online bootcamps, who we know most of you have actually tried already. Our students typically have spent quite a good amount of time learning online, and I've appreciated the fact that it's very flexible to learn online, but at the same time, there's no real pressure to complete. And as much as low as 3% of students who learn online actually are able to complete what they were set to do. What's great about learning online is you can do that from anywhere. You don't have to relocate, and it's also very affordable. So we've really thought about those aspects and the biggest value that brings to you online learning and online bootcamps. And you'll see later, apply that to Nucamp. On the other side of the spectrum, you can find traditional bootcamps. And traditional bootcamps offer really immersive experiences that are really great if you can afford it. And what I mean by affording is not only being able to spend the $12,000 to $15,000, but it's also what we call a cost opportunity. Most of the time, joining a traditional bootcamp will require you to make a big bet and take a big risk of quitting your current job. And we realize that for many of you, that's really not in the cards. And also, if you're unlucky in not living in one of the only 13 cities where you actually can find a coding bootcamp, well, there's simply not an option for you to attend one. And so that really brings us to Nucamp and how we thought about really bringing the best of those two worlds. We want to offer you the flexibility and the affordability that you can find in an online bootcamp. Meaning by that you don't need to quit your job. It's very accessible, and the price point that we offer, even though it's a little bit more expensive than an online bootcamp, is by no means as expensive as a traditional bootcamp. On the other hand, what we realize is you cannot be successful just by doing an online bootcamp. You need a support mechanism. You need a structure around you. And that's what we bring. We bring the traditional bootcamp to your doorstep in your community, and we bring around you other students that live nearby in your community. And we also bring to you and those 12 students maximum a dedicated instructor who's also in your local community. So we define that as being a hybrid format that is online during the week and in person on weekends, but always in a small group that's local to your community and with a local instructor who's dedicated to support you. Now, some of you has just found us online. Some of you may just have done a research for coding bootcamps and we popped up. And so you may wonder how long have we been in business? So we started in Washington State 2.5 years ago. As you can imagine, out of a Microsoft, kind of a spur of a Microsoft ecosystem. And we've actually been running 5 locations in the Washington State. We've delivered a total of 50 bootcamps, as well as a total of 200 workshop sessions on Saturdays. So far, we've hired 50 instructors throughout the States. And what we are setting up to do right now is to open in many more communities in the US. And if you're on this webcast and if you're asking questions, it's because you've seen us opening likely in August 5th in your community. So to give you a little bit of insights, we are right now hiring instructors in your community. We have a total of 1,000 screened instructors that are going through 2 interviews. Actually, many have done it already, and we're really about to close on workshop locations in your location where you will spend the Saturday mornings with your students and instructors. So we are really gearing up to that August 5th opening in your local community. So you may have questions regarding our bootcamps. We have a total of 3 bootcamps, and I will go later into the details of what each one of those include. But know that the web development fundamentals, like the name suggests, is really for total beginners who need a basic understanding of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript before signing up and continuing onto the front-end web and mobile development bootcamp or the full stack web and mobile development bootcamp. People ask us, which one will make me ready to get a job? And the answer is not the beginner's one. The beginner really is an introduction, and after just 4 weeks will not make you ready to switch to a new career. However, the front-end web and mobile development bootcamp and the full stack web and mobile development bootcamp will both make you ready to transition careers. Now, of course, I need to mention the tuition. As I said earlier, our prices are 15% of what other traditional coding bootcamps will charge. And I'll actually get into the details of how we can do that. We've heard your feedback that sometimes people look at that and say, it's kind of too good to be true. There must be a catch. And there is no catch. It's all about how we really made low cost the primary goal and built a business model to support that. Now, that being said, when you think about the curriculum, you really need to understand that first and foremost, it's not a walk in the park. It is hard and heavy commitment. And we don't say that to scare you. We say that because students who are not prepared to make life-changing decisions in their learning habits often feel surprised by the amount of learning that they have to do. So just to be clear, when you sign up with Nucamp, you sign up to either 1, 3, or 4 courses that are 4 to 5 weeks long each. And during the week, you are expected to learn 1 to 3 hours every day. You have access to video lectures. We give you exercises, assignments, code challenges. We ask you to work on a portfolio project. And again, it's between 1 to 3 hours daily that you have to be able to commit to. And then on Saturdays, you have an in-person workshop with your fellow students and your instructor. During that workshop, you work on the end of week assignment that then becomes graded by your instructor. So as I said, it's flexible, it's affordable, but it requires commitment and work. And the good news is we've created an environment to help you stay committed. You have a great deal of structure behind the curriculum that will really help you stay committed to this space. Now, let me touch now on how we get to be that affordable and local. Well, one thing I want to say is we are, unlike traditional coding bootcamp, we do not lease big buildings where we want to host our classes. Because our students only meet on Saturday mornings, we are able of doing smart partnerships with co-working locations in your city who are welcoming us and often share our social mission to help a group of 12 students learn on Saturday mornings. It works very well for them because Saturday is oftentimes a day where actually they don't have much traffic or occupancy issues during the weekend. And so they're really welcoming. And for students, it's also a great environment to learn. Our instructors as well are part-time with us. They are actually full-time in the industry and teaching with us because it's their passion to give back. That really also helps us manage our cost, our people cost, lower than if we had to hire full-time instructors. So that can give you an idea of how we achieve the level of affordability that we're delivering in the industry right now. Now, let's get another look at the curriculum because I know many of you are very curious about what are you going to learn exactly. So if you remember the 3 bootcamps that I showed before, really those 3 bootcamps are a combination of 5 different modules. On the left-hand side, you're going to recognize the web development fundamentals, which is really an introduction to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And then after that, you have 3 or 4 modules. The first 3 are going to be the front-end bootcamp. And if you add the last module, the back-end module, then you will be taking the full stack bootcamp. So one question we get often is, what do I need to take to do everything? Well, to do everything, you need to take the intro bootcamp, the first module, and then full stack, knowing that full stack actually includes front end. So don't be confused. You don't need to register for both front end and full stack. No, you just need to register for one or the other. And by the way, during front end, you can also upgrade to full stack and pay the extra cost for the final module. Now, if you look at the curriculum, it's really based on teaching JavaScript. JavaScript is a language that's been around for many, many years, I would say 25 years, but it's been under tremendous change and innovation for the last 5 to 10 years. With Google building around JavaScript, Facebook, Twitter, a lot of companies have really innovated on top of JavaScript, which means that for the last 5 years, JavaScript has been the #1 programming language in the industry. So that's why you see us as many bootcamps teaching JavaScript. Now, we teach what we call frameworks that have been built by renowned companies. And I will start with Bootstrap, which was created by Twitter. Bootstrap produces what we call responsive websites. Now, what is a responsive website? Well, it's a website that you can look at on a big screen, a big TV, look at on a tablet or a desktop or a laptop, and also look at on your phone, and it will rearrange itself to look good on all of these devices. That's why we say responsive. It's responsive to the size of the display. Now, it's a very exciting technology because it's easy to get into, especially once you've just learned HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Many of the basic concepts of CSS and HTML and JavaScript are really brought to life in Bootstrap. And it's a great evolution and a great first framework to learn. Now, the challenge or the limitation of Bootstrap is it's very much a presentation layer. What we mean by that, it's displaying information, but it doesn't know how to get to the information. Like he wouldn't know how to get to a database or how to get to the file system. It will just know how to display it. And so to do that, to be able to transform your website into something that we call dynamic, you're going to need to learn React. React really is actually the culmination of the bootcamp in many ways. It's in the middle of the bootcamp. It's the most challenging framework built by Facebook, by the way. And it's really the one that's going to give you all the tools you need to make truly professional websites. It's going to use Bootstrap for the presentation of the information, but then it's going to really help you get to the information, get to the data, and manipulate it so that you can display it. So for example, it's going to help you get to your user information, meaning their picture, their name, their email, and then it's going to allow you to go to their cart or go to your catalog of products. And it's going to allow you to really build rich experiences that, for example, will be about browsing a catalog of product, adding items to the cart, and saving that cart for a specific user. So only frameworks like React will enable you to do that. And you start to see how the website becomes really dynamic. Now, if you go to the next one, React Native, that's where I find a lot of magic happen. React Native allows you to take everything you've built before using Bootstrap and React and package it, zip it in a way if you want, into an actual application that you can deploy on a mobile phone, meaning an application that you'll be able to publish to the Apple Store, to the Google Play Store, monetize if you want, that people will be able to download and run on their device. It's kind of crazy to think that, but really that's what happens. You're building first a website that is responsive. So of course, the website already knows how to adjust the visuals to work on a mobile device, but then you package the whole thing and it's a true mobile application. Now, the big difference of packaging it this way is suddenly you're going to have access to the device capabilities, meaning you're going to be able to query the GPS, you're going to be able to use the cameras, you're going to be able to record voice, place calls. I mean, once you're on the mobile device and you are truly an application, there's a ton of the device capabilities that are available to you, and that's where it's really exciting and the magic also kind of happens. Now, this is the end of front end. And if you add to that the back end, you become what we call a unicorn developer, meaning someone who can do everything from A to Z. You will now be able to store the data in a database or in the cloud. You'll be able to ask users to authentify with your application. You'll be able to manage a cart. You'll be able to do payments and things like that. So that last module is in a way optional if you only care about the visuals of your application and publishing, for example, a mobile app, but essential if you want to build something from A to Z. The whole curriculum and the whole bootcamp is an accumulation of knowledge and the buildup of what we call a learning project. What differentiates our curriculum with others is it's not a series of tutorials that are disconnected from one another. It is a common learning project that you start to build with Bootstrap and improve week over week and module over module. And so at the end of front end or full stack, you've really accomplished something, which, by the way, is one of the big concerns that students have before they joined us and by learning online is you do all those things online on your own, but you're really unable to really identify what the outcome is, what at the end it built towards. So that's what we give you. We give you really a finality of the experience. Now, I just talked about a learning project. We also have a portfolio project that we help you work on either solo or in group. Obviously, working in a group is preferred. And you will have either 1, 2, or 3 projects throughout the bootcamp. You're going to start with Bootstrap, and you're going to do something really nice and good looking, hopefully. Then you're going to almost trash it and do it again with React because the technology is so different, but you're going to keep the visuals. And then optionally, you may decide to trash it again and do it again with React Native. Now, many of you actually will decide to continue with React. And then you'll attach, if you're in the full stack curriculum, you'll attach the backend, Node.js, Express, and MongoDB, the database, to your React or React Native project. So you'll do all that solo or in group. Let's talk about the schedule now. So as I said, we are gearing up and actually approaching August 5th. This is going to be the beginning of the web development fundamentals. And we're going to actually deliver that one twice. We do that because we hope to accommodate enough students who will then be interested in continuing with front-end and full-stack web development. So that's the current approach. If you can't make it on August 5th, you can actually start on September 9th. And I should say that if you are really interested in joining the full-stack or front-end curriculum and bootcamp, you should really sign up for the October 7th delivery because after that, really, we're going to do it again 3 months later in January. So if you don't really want to wait, you can sign up to the October 7th delivery and without waiting for the next one. I want to say as well that in some communities, we'll find that we do not have enough students on August 5th to start the cohort. And our minimum right now is we will start with 6 students in a bootcamp. We are thinking about going down to 4. In full transparency, 6 helps us actually cover our cost and generate a little bit of profit so that we can also sustain our business. 4 is our bare minimum where we just cover our cost. And so we are evaluating how much we want to be in the red, but we also want to make sure that we give an opportunity to all those communities to get started. So right now we're between 4 and 6. But what happens if you register to August 5th and we are not able to start, then you are moved to September 9th. And we actually give you then a discount. We do actually a refund of 10%. But if it doesn't work for you, then you can simply cancel and get a full refund. So what we hope is between August 5th and September 9th to really get enough students to get started and for all of you to really get a chance to get started as well. So if you're interested, register to August 5th. And if all goes well, get started. Otherwise, we hope to see you on September 9th and start then. Hopefully that will work for most of you. Now, one thing I haven't touched on yet, which is very important, is are we any good, right? I mean, it's all good. I mean, as many of you would think, it's too good to be true, but is what we offer any good? And for that, I would encourage you to go check out our reviews. We just got one today again. A great review from a student in Spokane, actually. And I don't want to actually paraphrase what students have to say about us. I'm very proud of what we have been able to accomplish. And so what I thought we will do is just play a very short video clip of one of our testimonial that I find is very representative. So if you don't mind, I'm going to switch to a video now. And then we'll talk right after that in 1.5 minutes.
I wanted to look at a career opportunity that would be lucrative. And Nucamp kind of popped up, and I liked it a lot more than the other ones. I liked that it was more flexible. I didn't have to quit my current job.
They're basically very student-friendly.
And our instructor is awesome, Minay, and she's just really helpful, really above and beyond.
She's very helpful, and every time when I have a question, I can ask her and she can respond. The careers basically has no end. You can grow and grow.
I was really excited. Yeah, in fact, I mean, if anything, I was wanting to do more.
But I really like the way it's been this hybrid learning process.
I love that. I love that it's during the week, because I wouldn't have been able to do it if I had to meet every single day. So I love that I can find childcare on Saturdays, and the rest of the week it's online. But yeah, sometimes I'm doing my homework and I get all excited. I'm like, this could be my life. So it's kind of cool.
All right, and we're back. I hope you enjoyed this video. We have actually more testimonials on our YouTube channel. If you want to check it out, we also have instructors sharing about their experience with us, which can be kind of cool to see what kind of instructor caliber you will have in your bootcamp. So as I wrote during the video, I'm actually now ready to answer your questions. Since we do not have an audio, a two-way audio channel, I will actually read out loud the questions and answer them as well. All right, Tiffany, great. Thank you I see your questions are coming in now. It's great. So Tiffany, your question is about a physical location for Orlando has been decided. So I wish my co-founder was here because he's in charge of that. What I know is we've made deals with 45 locations so far, and I hope Orlando is one of them. What will happen is you will see the webpage for Orlando updated with just one location when that happens. And you will also see the information reflected on the bootcamp itself. But yeah, we will be ready with a physical location when we get started, obviously. GC, you're asking, after we register for the courses in August on the 5th comes, what is the process for the first day of the bootcamp? Great question. So you'll get reminders, by the way. So once you register, we'll remind you that you're going to get started on the 5th. And the first day of the bootcamp is the 5th, meaning this is when you're going to receive via email and text your getting started package. And it will include getting access to the online learning environment. And for 4 days, the very first 4 days, it's really about you getting set up, getting introduced to your instructor, to the fellow students. And I will say you have 30% of learning those first 4 to 5 days, really getting you ready to the very first workshop that's going to happen the coming Saturday. And so let me actually double check. The very first workshop will be August 10th then. So on Monday 5th, around 8 a.m., you're going to get all the information via mail. You're going to have to log on to our learning environment, Slack as well, and that'll be the beginning of your journey, and it will start online. And on Saturday, that will be your very first in-person meeting with your students, other students, and your instructor. MGF, will we receive a certificate? Yes, absolutely. So we actually issue certificates once you've completed each module of a bootcamp. And then you have an end of the bootcamp certificate of completion for the whole thing. We actually have two kinds. We have a regular certificate of completion for students who complete the bootcamp as expected. And we have a certificate of completion with honors for doing additional requirements that you'll discover actually in the bootcamp. But we have that distinction of traditional certificates and with honor certificates. Hector Mora, what if I can't make it on Saturdays since I work Mondays and Saturdays? This is a great question. So it will be an issue. We we strongly believe that in order to be successful in a bootcamp, especially working part-time and over a long period of time, requires you having a really strong structure behind you. And that Saturday workshop session is really an anchor for you to ask questions to your instructor, collaborate with the other students, and actually also work on the assignment that is due that week and then will be graded the Tuesday after. It's okay to miss a few, and actually it's quite expected when you're signing up for a 22-week long bootcamp that you're going to miss one or two. We always require students to publish their assignment, even if they may not have attended the workshop session, the in-person workshop session. Now, in your case, Hector, not being able to attend any Saturday workshop session is a big, big handicap. And to be honest with you, I will recommend against registering with us because you will not get the value that we bring. And that value is really that level of structure. Now, as I say that, we do not decline access to anyone. We really treat you with respect and as adults who can make their own decisions. So that will be my recommendation, to evaluate not signing up. If you want to take a shot, if you want to try it, and actually maybe you want to try it just for 4 weeks, you're welcome to do so and see it for yourself if you can make it work or not. But know that you will still be required to publish the weekly assignment. So Roy, say we are still on the fence about attending your school and wanted to actually go and observe a Saturday class. It's actually something that we offer already in the Washington state, exactly for that reason. You will be able to observe a Saturday class. We can only do that when we've started and we actually have classes running. And so that's our plan, to actually supplement this online open house with in-person open houses. And so if you are in the state of Washington, you can actually do that because we've been running for 2 years now, and we'll gradually do that as we open the new locations. Hector, is there any locations in the Midland, Odessa, Texas area? I will have to check online, but if you look up our website and type in your zip code, you will know which ones are close to you. Jerry is asking, will you make the decision to open the full stack on October 7th with 4 students in Lakeland, Florida? Probably, and I will still need to discuss that with my co-founder, but the probably no. The reason is the full stack bootcamp is a very long commitment. And we know that some students are going to have an issue, and we actually offer, for example, an option for students to pause the bootcamp for a month and resume it later. And we know that out of 4, 1 or maybe 2 are going to want to pause and change cohorts or delay it, which would lead to a very poor experience for the 2 that are left. So really our minimum for the full stack is going to be 6, same for the front end. We can start with 4, potentially with the 4 weeks bootcamp, because it's such a small time window that it's okay. But full stack and front end, likely not. We'll have to start with 6 to make sure that in the long run, everybody gets a really great experience. Roy is asking about the Las Vegas community. Yeah, so we are onboarding and interviewing and finalizing the instructors being onboarded. And as I said, we are actually at the end of the week, we shall have all our location and the ones that we've made the partnership with uploaded to the system. So in the next couple of weeks, you should see things changing online with co-working locations and workshop locations clearly identified. The ones that you see right now are actually the ones that we are talking to, so you have an idea of where we're going. Can I join? So Seshi is asking, can I join in August and repeat in September for fundamentals if I want to without paying again? I think we give you an option to retake it for $99, if I remember correctly. We don't allow you to do it twice and only paying once. But you may want to do it for XYZ reason, and I think we ask you to pay another $99 to do that. It's our retake policy, actually. Yoel is asking, I see that all the jobs require a CS degree or experience. How do you actually find a job after a bootcamp without a degree? So that's a great question. The jobs that require a CS degree are what we call software engineers position in companies like Microsoft, Facebook, Google. All the big names in tech will require a CS degree for a software engineer position, not all the position in those companies, because these are the people that are going to be expected to build the new Facebook, the new Windows, the new Google search. And so what we tell our students is don't even think about applying to those big tech companies. That's not going to be realistic for you. There's a huge demand in web developers, not necessarily software engineers, but web developers. And there's demand in every industry, in every company. You may have heard that any company now is a digital company. What we used to call the IT department now is very much the whole company is an IT department. And so this is where you're going to want to start. And they are not requiring CS degrees. Many companies will gladly not compete with the Microsoft and Facebook and hire more junior, less experienced individuals and make a bet on them. So that's really what we help our students do, is avoid the pitfalls of thinking that, hey, once you finish your coding bootcamp, you're going to get a job at Google. Very likely the answer is no, it's not going to be realistic. It's not going to happen. You may, down the line, after proving yourself, after 4 or 5 years of experience, apply and get a great job at Google or Microsoft, but not right after a bootcamp. So thank you, Yoel, for asking that question. JC, will the project we create be simple or stand out from the crowd? Portfolio ready? It's a great question. So define stand out from the crowd. But what I will tell you is, okay, you can make great tutorials online that take 2 hours and look really cool. Like you've done, or maybe you haven't, but most people will show you, you know, the Google map moving when you push, when you use your finger. Well, it's 10 lines of code. It's not that complicated, but it looks pretty good. And for someone not really knowing what's behind it, you could think that's going to stand out from the crowd. The project that we do actually not that. We actually don't have a Google Maps type of thing in our project. The project that we do are fully functional projects. And as I said, from the very first week of Bootstrap to the last week of Node.js, every week is adding functionalities to the same project. And so you start with one page on a simple website, and then you customize it. Then you add a second page, then you add a form, then you add the logic, then you pull data. So it adds up. And in my mind, that's what makes the project standing out of the crowd, because you have a story to tell. You're going to be able to talk about the things that was hard, the thing that was easy, where you struggled the most, where you're the most proud of having accomplished. And yes, you can absolutely add a Google Maps API in it, or any type of REST API. You'll know how to do that, and you'll actually have a lot of understanding as to what it takes. So I hope that answers your question. They do stand from the crowd, and they are portfolio ready because of the sheer amount of complexity and depth. That's the word I was looking for. There's a lot of depth in what we do. MG says, but can we get a job with just the first curriculum certificate of completion if we continue to learn front-end and full stack in the process or down the line when we can afford it? So I'm assuming you're talking about the web development fundamental, and can you get a job just with that, the 4 weeks bootcamp? And the answer actually, unfortunately, is no. This 4-week bootcamp is really an introduction, and it's kind of a prep bootcamp, if you want, to get into the next ones. You're going to work on 3 projects. You're going to learn the basics. It's going to give you everything you need to move forward. But you'll be really hard pressed to go in an interview just with that and get a job. If you learn online on your own, and if you had more skills to that, that could happen. But I will say, I will not make you a promise at all that this 4 weeks bootcamp will be enough to get a job. Seshi is asking or saying, I don't have any background in computers. Will I learn enough in 6 months? So you can learn enough in 6 months. If you don't have any background in computers at all, the worry that I will have will be for you, how much behind are you really? I mean, can you actually use a terminal? And by the way, we teach you how to use a terminal in the very first weeks. But if you haven't expressed any interest in the past in learning computers, how much are you really committed, and how much passion are you going to get to be able to commit yourself to, in your case, maybe not just 3 hours a day, but maybe 4 hours a day, especially at the peak when we teach React. If you haven't learned before, the chances for you to be successful will probably rely on doubling down on the amount of effort that you're going to put in. So I would say everything's possible if you're committed, passionate, and if you put down the number of hours that will be needed for you to learn. So yes, 6 months, you can do it. The question is, if that didn't happen before, are you now in a position mentally to commit yourself to do it? And that's really only for you to answer. So Stephanie Huber is asking, do you feel the introductory 4-week program is relevant to someone wanting to go to data analytics bootcamp elsewhere afterwards? I would say it's remotely connected, but not that relevant. And I say it's remotely connected because at some point, you're going to want to be able to display the data. And you may want to do that in a nice looking website. And somewhere down the line, you're going to need to know some level of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Like, that knowledge is fundamental across in engineering and web development. So I will say that that is baseline. You're going to appreciate knowing it. Now, will you be able to use that knowledge to get a head start in data analytics? I will say no. It's very much a different type of world. So relevant, yes, because you're going to want to know it. Applicable, not so much. Yoel is asking, what companies have Nucamp students applied to? And by the way, what does NU stand for? Okay, great. I'll answer both questions. So it's interesting. We have a very diverse set of students in terms of what they do with their certificate at the end. They are the ones who really started from the get-go wanting to change careers. And so they're going to apply for small boutique web development, small and medium businesses, or traditional companies like in the Seattle area, I would say Nordstrom, that are very traditional companies but are looking to compete with, you know, the big Microsoft, Amazon to get web developers, and they don't really want to compete at the prices. And so they're going to hire bootcamp graduates. So we have those people who wanted to change careers and are changing careers. But then we have people also who don't want to change careers. They want to upgrade their skills and potentially actually apply those skills in their current job. And we've had that as well. We have people, actually a business owner that I remember I was actually teaching to him, who didn't want to ask a development agency to do the work without understanding anything of what they were doing, and wanting really to sharpen his skills to be better at directing a web development agency for his own business. We have a lot of people who want to become freelance, a lot of people who appreciate the freedom and the opportunity given to web developers and even junior developers to start their own business. And actually, we see many of them doing that, as well as many of our instructors are freelance as well. So it's another scenario that we see. We see people that are retired and who were like, I've learned Fortran 20 years ago, and I want to know what that JavaScript thing is about. Yeah, so we have really a lot of diverse background. We have people who take the 4 weeks bootcamp and don't want to go further. They're just curious about it, and the price point is right for them. But I would say everyone that I know who has been wanting to take this bootcamp to change careers or improve their current career has been satisfied with the outcome. And NU stands for new. New bootcamp, new kind of bootcamp. That's what the new is for. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's where it came from. Thank you for the question, Yoel. 30 seconds with MGF. I'll be curious to understand what that means. But the question is, does your company affiliate network with local companies to help your students find internships after completion of front-end or full-stack bootcamp? So the answer is that's something we're working on right now. We actually start to see those affiliates, local companies and communities reaching out to us. And we actually post job opportunities very often on our Slack channel when they come to us. We don't have a structured program to do that, but we're actually building it right now. What I would say though is one of the big value that students tell us they find in what we do is putting them in touch with a local instructor who's not a full-time professor. That person is actually full-time employed in the local industry. And that connection is a great way actually to get into those communities, know about those agencies, and really find your path to get a job. So even though we don't have a formal structure just yet, and we are working on that, just getting that touch point with your local instructor is already very much a huge value that you'll see as well. Roy is asking, say we are working on a project and we get stuck. Is the instructor going to just tell us to Google it, or are they going to actually try to explain it? So that one is a really interesting one, because I hope they do both. There's a great video online of a guy who's a Udemy professor who's actually asked a friend, a very experienced senior web developer, to share its web history with him. And I'll need to find the video. Just to show you how much time even a senior web developer spends on Google to look for stupid things that he should already know. And I'm guilty of that myself. A lot of what needs to happen when you start a bootcamp is realizing that this is not just like, learning how to drive, meaning there's a manual, this is how you do it. And then at the end, if you've followed the script, then you're going to get your driving license. The world of web development is a world of continuous learning. And we're going to teach you a version of the framework that's going to change the day after or the week after. And so Googling stuff every day is part of it. Now, there's the notion of too much Googling, Google it, right? Because that cannot be the answer. It's not a pedagogically sound answer. And so our instructors are actually asked two things. First, they need to ask you to spend at least 20 minutes trying to figure out the answer before they can help you. Then they need to give you a hint as to what you should be thinking about. And if you become very frustrated with all that, they should really kind of tell you the answer. That should be the last resort. Telling the answer should be the last resort. A lot of learning to code is to learn how to learn. And so rubber duck is first. So I hope that helps, and I'll get back to your question afterwards, or your point, Roy, right after that. Seshi's question is, how does your syllabus compare with Launch Code? Actually, I couldn't tell. I'm not very familiar with the one from Launch Code. I apologize for that. JC, would any of these courses cover how to properly debug issues we might come across? Yes. That's an evolving topic. So debugging issues, it's going to start with realizing that in 80% of the case, at first, when you're just beginning to code, it's going to be syntax. you're going to forget to close a parenthesis, you're going to forget a semicolon somewhere, and nothing's going to work because of that. And you're going to pull your hair out until someone points to you that, hey, you're missing that semicolon here, and you're going to be like, duh. So there's no very fancy tools for that. And that's going to be 80% of your mistakes at first. After that, we teach you how to use the Chrome debugger, which is the mecca of debugging for everyone. And we actually have lessons on that. And yes, we're going to teach you how to use that. It's being able to debug efficiently is part of the maturity of a developer. You're going to have less and less of these semicolons error, and more of a more complex problems of the data not pulling properly or not displaying properly. And so your journey of debugging is going to evolve as well as you mature in your learning. So Roy, rubber duck is first. No, it shouldn't be first. I mean, the point is students should never be in a position of total failure or total dissatisfaction, obviously. So Google it cannot be the number one answer. Google it can be the go-to answer, obviously, but it is part of an answer. That's what I'm trying to say. By the way, on that point, I will say that as students, you're going to rate your instructor every week. Every week, we're looking at the ratings, and we expect instructors to get a 4.2 out of 5 at the minimum to be identified as a good instructor. So what we expect from you, Roy, if you feel like we have an instructor who's not doing what's supposed to do in terms of teaching and having the right pedagogy, just let us know. Provide the proper rating. And we've had situations where we actually had to remove an instructor in the middle of a bootcamp. And we've done that not very often. I would say that 95% of our instructors are actually passionate enough and talented enough to meet the bar, but it has happened and we take that seriously. So I hope that's a satisfactory answer. Thank you, JC. All right, we have 7 minutes left. Thank you. There we go. More questions from session. Okay, launch code. Okay, whispering. Okay, great. So thank you, Seshi. So I would say the unit 1 from launch code, JavaScript programming concepts and front-end programming in JavaScript is pretty close. I mean, we teach 22 weeks of that. So obviously we're going in much depth. We used to teach Angular and we've switched 6 months ago to React. So instead of Angular, we teach React now, just primarily because of popularity. We do not teach Java with Spring. Java is not as popular in the web development scene. It's less and less popular, actually. It's taken over from many directions. Python for data science. It's very much used in embedded systems still, but I wouldn't bet too much on Java, to be honest with you. It's a great teaching language for computer science graduates. They learn Java and they pretty much never use it afterwards. But yeah, I would not spend too much time on Java if I were you anyway. All right. Any more questions? All right. Well, I'm gonna stay a little bit longer, and I hope I didn't forget any or miss any question. I think I got it all. Harry, I see that you posted at the beginning, but you haven't asked any question. Do you have any question? Are you still here, Carrie? Carrie Danielson? No? All right. Well, I will then close this online open house. Thank you very much for joining. If you have any additional question, please don't hesitate to reach out to us on our website. The chat that we have is not a bot. We actually have someone, a real human behind it. And I'm seeing your question, Roy. I'll just answer it in a few seconds. So yes, go online, chat with our agent online who's really available throughout the day. Feel free to shoot me an email as well. My email is ludo@nucamp.co, ludo@nucamp.co, and I'll be happy to answer you. Roy, we are very friendly with vets. We actually have veterans in our ranks as well. Our student manager and student success manager is an ex-Navy, and we have instructors who are ex-veteran as well. We are not set up in many of the new locations to accept the GI Bill just yet. It's a state-by-state thing, and it takes a little bit of time. What we hope, though, is because of our low tuition, that beneficiaries of the GI Bill will be able to save the money for other type of education if they want to, and still be able to join us. So yeah, we are sorry that we don't have much to support the GI Bill just yet. Thank you for the accent. Sometimes I'm tripping over words, and I appreciate that you're giving me a break for that. Thank you, Yoel. Thank you, MGF. Thank you, Christy. Thank you, Roy, for all the questions. And take care. Have a great night or great evening, everyone. And I hope to see you soon online in our forums. Yeah, looking forward to it. See ya. Bye-bye.